What's up, YouTube? It's Joe Catchpolia sitting on the couch, making some money investing in fractional real estate online, as usual. Today I'm revisiting ARK7. I've done a couple of videos about this platform in the past. If you recall, they are another fractional real estate investing platform where they are using a registered broker dealer and actually selling securities. So a little bit different from some of the other platforms. I know a few people have asked about that in the comments to videos recently, so I think they'll be happy to see that that's the case with this site. Um, if you remember from my original review of this, and if you don't, I'll put a link to it in the description to this video. Before I forget, please like and subscribe. And also in the description to the video, there's a link to our Discord. It's just a generic fractional real estate investors Discord. So people that invest on ARK7 or Arrived or Lofty or Mogul or any of those sites are welcome to join, come and talk to us. There's about 30 of us now that are having pretty regular conversations about a lot of the different platforms and strategies. Um, Also, in the description to this video, I have links to the sites that I'm currently investing on. So you'll see links to Mogul, Ground Floor, Collab, Lofty, Sol's Lot. As always, just because I decide to invest on a platform or not doesn't mean that you should. So do your own due diligence on the platform, and then the same thing with the properties themselves. So get it now that that's out of the way. If you recall from that original video, the reason I haven't invested on here yet is because the returns just are very underwhelming. And I believe it's very similar to Arrived in that they have this huge cost that they have to overcome with each property having to basically pay the cost of turning the property into a security, right? It's a bigger process than it is for the platforms that are doing their creating a different type of interest that you own in real estate, right? And so um, there's a huge cost on that, and then in addition to that, so the upfront, you might buy a property for 200,000, and once you roll in all the costs of getting those prepared, and other closing costs and everything else, you might be in it for 250. And that's really hard to overcome on a real estate deal on each one. And then on top of that, they're taking 15% of free cash flow. And this is just what I remember from reading through their their circular or their offering memorandum. So you want to look at that for these properties before you buy any of these. But it is, so it's very, they have very low cash on cash returns, very low dividend rates, and what you're actually getting a dividend distribution, I believe. But it's very low relative to like what I'm getting on Mogul or what I'm getting, really Mogul, Ground Floor, or Lofty. All of those, I'm getting a higher, dividend rate on a lot of the properties, or cash on cash return, or however you want to look at it. And one of the things I think a lot of people don't realize is, in real estate, when we always say cash on cash return, but when I went through finance classes related to real estate, a lot of times we would refer to that as the equity dividend rate, and so they're basically the same thing. Um, you look at what you invested and what your cash back is, and so it's very similar. So it's not exactly an apples to apples comparison because of tax treatment, but you can, looking at like this property has a 4.6% dividend rate or distribution rate. It's basically the same very similar to getting that same level of cash on cash return. So those have been very low on their initial offerings, and they're and you're paying a big premium on the buy side. Um, Actually, I was looking at this little summary that they put out for their February portfolio. Talk about, okay, they've just their 4.5% annualized rate of return on their dividend distribution. To me, it's just really hard to get excited about that. When even on Ground Floor, which is what I think is my, lowest. I think it's a good risk adjusted return, but it's the lowest return I'm getting on any of the platforms, and that's more. It's more than double this, dividend rate. Of course, you'd expect to have some appreciation that you'd make money on as well, with real estate, but uh, because there's such a huge, lump sum that you have to overcome. Initially, it makes it look like it's really hard to make money. And so, they also mentioned, 91.89% occupancy reached, which this doesn't seem like something to brag about to me. I mean, we have, if our my day job, the company, I sell investment properties to real estate investors, and I'm affiliated with a management company. And if they're, we manage, around between 1,000 and 1,500 doors, and if they had a 90, less than 92% occupancy rate, um, we certainly wouldn't be bragging about that. So I'm not sure. Maybe because, and is this their long term? Maybe they're blending in their short term rentals occupancy rate, and so it's dragging it down. I'm really not sure. But anyway, thought that was kind of interesting to see. Um, the other thing that they talked about a little bit is, they have their best and worst. Okay, that's the notable short-term rental. Yeah, their best and worst dividends by year. So 6.99. Okay, so now we're starting to get to a number that you're getting closer, right? I'm not very excited about 4.5, 6.99. I think that I invested on Collab at a 7.5, and I think that's the lowest really return that I'm looking at, on any of the deals where I'm not just looking at a huge discount. And so that, it's not great, but it's, 6.99 is much better than 4.5, right? Obviously. And then they talk about their short-term rental, performance, and these to me seem horrible. I mean, the only time that I'm investing in short-term rentals is if I'm expecting to get a higher cash-on-cash return than if I were going to use a long-term rental. So I don't know. I wasn't very excited about that. Uh, but so why am I coming back here, right? What are we doing on ARK7 if it was too pricey and there was, the returns were too low? Well, if you remember when we first looked at it, they also have a secondary marketplace, right? And so when I look at deals on Lofty, for example, all the ones that come out at par at whatever their offering price is, I'm hardly ever excited about those deals. Now, a lot of them have a higher stated cash on cash return. Whether or not you believe those always is, something you have to look into on each individual property. But most of the money that I'm making on that platform comes from the secondary market, right? It comes from buying those tokens on Lofty, and here it would be shares, but buying them at a discount to what they were originally sold at, right? And so far, whenever I've checked in on ARK7, I really haven't seen that very often. One of the things, they make it kind of tough because, like on Lofty, every single token is brought to the market at $50 per token. So it's easy to scroll through and see, okay, where do we have a discount from their original price? ARK7 is weird. So they have a lot that were brought to the market at 100 at their IPO. They have some that are at 20, or a lot that are at 20, and they have ones that are like 32, 21, like just some strange numbers. So you can't just scroll through this and see, you know, where the actual discounts are. But one of the things that I think typically tends to imply you're going to get some discount, they do show you the bid ask, right? And so if there's a whole lot more people trying to sell than trying to buy, to me, it creates a situation where there might be some opportunity, right? And so um, I have been periodically coming back here and looking, and I haven't really seen very many that I thought were too interesting. They do put their total market cap on here, which is pretty nice. Oh, one more thing I want to point out. I think in my original video, I said that they don't give you the address. So I was just using Google Lens on this picture to find the properties. But actually, and I don't know, maybe this wasn't here before, or I just didn't see it. Right under the map, they do actually have the address. So it's pretty easy to find the address for each one. I just went and looked up a whole bunch of these or a couple of them on Redfin, ones that seem to have a lot of trading volume. And so, like for example, um, this was the first one here. There's a whole bunch of people trying to sell, not very, or at least a whole bunch of shares for sale. Not a whole lot to buy. This is actually at a premium to this one came out at $20. But when I looked up the Redfin value, it's just like the market cap is so much over that. And sometimes these can be wrong. But this just did not, didn't inspire me to dig deeper on that one. but some of them did, and so that's why I decided to make a video about this today. No, I didn't pull the trigger on any of those. I'm still not invested on ARK7, but I think I'm getting close. And so this was one. Okay, we got a whole bunch of sales, or a whole bunch of people trying to sell. There's actually been some sales of this one at $18, which 18 in the original IPO was 20, and so this was a discount. It's that the $18 sales were a 10% discount from the IPO, right? So okay, people lost money. It's a good example of why I'm not I'm not buying into some of these, right? Because I think it is you just are going to lose money in the if you have to sell in the first couple of years because of that huge chunk that you're paying up front. The fees, basically the fees and expenses of creating the securities, the acquisition fee that you pay, everything like that. But so let's see, this one is Atlanta T4. I wish they would just name them the address, would make it easier. But so this one, okay, total market cap is 238,000, Redfin value 231. Now we're getting really close, right? I mean, it's not a great dividend, and this is part of the reason. So like, let's look at this one. Part of the reason I think you have these people who are trying to sell is your dividend has been all over the place, right? It is, although it is coming back, right? So this is very much like how Lofty works. Is as the dividend varies, you'll get these people that are, they just bought it for a yield, and their yield is going away, so they're going to sell it. And so I don't think we're there yet as far as getting really big discounts. That one, okay, 10%. It's not terrible, but it wasn't super exciting. Let's see what, but there. Okay, I looked at this one, right? You've got a whole bunch of stuff. And one of the things that I'm going to start doing is when I find ones that I think are close, I'll put some bids, especially if there aren't any. And so this was another one I looked at. This was Atlanta T3, right? Oh, I didn't actually look at that. That's T3, Atlanta T4. Very similar one. Yeah, that's the one I just told you. Okay, the Atlanta C3, let's see, or C7 is this one down here. Whole again, not a huge discount there. Why did I? Oh, but so this is one. I just wanted to check out when I was digging into this one, there had been, again, same thing. I think this is not the good one, so let me go back. But yeah, so you can see the Atlanta C7 205 value, and that was, so we're still way off, right? 272,000 is a total market cap, 205. I mean, this is just unbelievable. But let's see. Let's go to this DFW. There's a couple. This Alexandria one I think is sort of decent looking. But let me look at this one. Okay, again, right? This is a big. So there's been some trades I think at 90 on this one, and there's a couple of people trying to sell right now at 95, or maybe. So these were IPO'd at 90. No, these were IPO'd at 100. So there's at least two people trying to sell at a 5% discount. But again, when I looked up this one, it looks like we're still way below. We're still way above, the price of the property. But so this Alexandria one, right? This is the only one so far that I found. A whole bunch of people trying to sell, or at least a whole bunch of shares for sale. 105, only one bid, right? Only one person's trying to buy at 89.50. The Redfin value right now is 267,000. And the price of it is 261, right? Or the total market cap is 261. So this is the first one that I really decided, okay, it's the first time I've seen one. I mean, that's a 10% discount off the bat from what they, originally brought to market for. Okay, it's not a huge discount from the current market cap, but you have to understand you're you're going to pay a little bit of a premium almost everywhere, right? For to own this in the manner that it is, right? Where you're not buying the whole property, you're buying the pieces. So that looked pretty compelling. It is a very low distribution, so I wanted to see like what did that distribution look like over time, and it has been as high as 51 cents a share, and right now it's down to 31, right? So it's been um, well, let's see. Let's do the 51 cents a share. Uh, times, let's at $90 a share, right? And let's see, 0.51, it's 12 divided by 90. Oh, no, it's $90. Yeah, so 6.8% return if it got back up to that level. Now, obviously, you can't expect it to, right? It's been all over the place. Um, but it is, it goes to show you that there's starting to be opportunities, right? And I think that this is, I think they're just kind of earlier than Lofty is, to a certain extent, and I think that the individual properties are run better. So, you don't have as many of these opportunities where you just have like something not paying you forever, right? I mean, they're 92% occupied. They're not doing this weird thing with the operating reserve, getting refilled. And so, um, you don't have these periods of time where you just have zero yield, at least not on many that I've seen. Um, but I don't know. So, I got excited about this one. I dug into it a little bit. Unfortunately for me, it's in a flood zone. If you've watched my channel much, that's one that I just want to avoid altogether. And, so I decided I'm not going to buy that one. But to me, it's just very promising to start to see, some really good size discounts. I mean, 10%, and there's a lot of people trying to sell here, right? And so, and only one bid. And so, one of the things that I might start to do on properties that, I'll have to do my due diligence on them, just like we always do. Got to dig into everything. But if I really like it and there's a lot of asks and not as many bids, I might just start putting some slightly lower bids or bids that are at a price that just work for me. I'm not actually sure yet. Um, I'm guessing I'm going to have to move money to the platform to do it. I don't know how long they'll have to stay open for. Um, like I said, so far none of them are quite compelling enough to get me to buy some. I almost decided to buy a piece of this one, even though it's in a flood zone. Um, just because I want to really understand how the platform works, because I am excited at the prospect of having another platform that has this secondary market where you can actually get some discounts. But the other thing, in addition to being in a flood zone, this is in Alexandria, Virginia. Um, the market has had a ton of growth, but it's a market I'm a little bit worried about with everything that's going on with our federal government. If we do truly get some downsizing in the federal government, that could really hurt this market. Whether or not that's going to happen, I don't know. But just having one more strike against it. I mean, again, it wasn't extremely compelling to begin with. It's a 4% distribution, but the to me the bigger story is, okay, we have a discount to the point where our market cap is below the cost of, or the current, what Redfin thinks the property is worth today. Um, I don't necessarily think that. I think what it means is we're getting closer, right? I've been coming back, checking these quite a bit, and this is the first time that I've seen one that was even close. Um, I think a few months or maybe another year, might be another year, but I think over time we'll start to see more of these where you'll just there's very few that have a lot more people that want to buy than sell, right? Like you have a lot more that have these larger positions, more shares for sale than to purchase. And over time, I mean, that's just going to it's going to put downward pressure on them. If you have, it's just supply and demand, right? If you have more sellers than buyers, over time, you'd expect the prices to go down. So even though I don't think we're quite there yet, I did get excited that we're getting close, and so I just want to share that. One of the things I'm curious, if you're watching this channel and you're already invested in ARK7, one, how do you like it so far, right? Like, what do you think about their execution and communication, and are you getting any additional info when you are an owner of the property, or is it just all the same stuff that we can see? Um, that's part of the reason. I mean, I bought the one share or the one piece. I guess it was like 100 shares or something. I don't know, or 30 or something on Collab, really just to figure out how things go. Maybe I just need to do that on here too. Um, because I do think there'll be opportunity, and so I want to be, I don't think it's this one, but I think that one of these, maybe one of these in Atlanta. I noticed a lot of the Atlanta ones have more sales than purchases. I don't know, but yeah. So I'm curious. I'm curious if anybody has experience with the site that they want to share. Um, and then the other thing is how important is that cash on cash return to you, right? Like, these are all just, I just don't like the mid single digit returns. Um, at the same time, if I'm getting a good enough discount to where I think that I'm getting an actual equity return, plus I'm getting a cash on cash return, that for me, like, I'm not necessarily, I don't need this yield at the moment. I like to invest in this stuff, and you can see that with all the trading I'm doing on Lofty, and you know, making a lot more money from discounts than from the cash on cash returns. The ones I'm getting the best from is currently Mogul, but I don't know. I'm actually getting higher returns on Lofty just trading because of the discounts, and so again, I think we're not there yet. There's also just not that many properties on here yet, but we're certainly getting closer, right? Stuff like this is just really weird for me, right? Like, if there's 17 of these for sale, why is somebody only trying to save a buck, right? Like, I might go and buy, like, it just seems sort of strange, right? Like, I'm curious why people aren't looking, making offers at bigger discounts, and I think that part of it is so far they're not seeing other offers at bigger discounts, right? But I think over time, um, that might become a little bit more normalized, like it did over on Lofty. Maybe not. Maybe it won't be. But anyway, that's about enough, I think, for today about rambling about ARK7. I do want to hear what you guys have to say about it. Um, if you're already on there, and if you're not, if you've thought about it and come to the same conclusion as me, or what your thoughts are. In any case, until next time, just going to keep making mistakes so that you don't have to.